Each year, over and over again, we've tried to do better, we've tried to improve, we've tried to set a different standard. This is what brings us back. This is the kind of thing that makes it happen again and again. The absolute batshit crazy lunatics, the brilliant geniuses, the special and wonderful set of people around Magento. One of the wonderful things that we've seen is everybody from all walks of life.
Please welcome to the stage CEO of JH and organiser of Meet Magento UK, Jamie Huskisson.
Thank you for turning up. Would have been embarrassing if you didn't. Welcome to Meet Magento UK. It's a pleasure to see you all, most of you-ish. There are seats at the front. When I think about today, I think about the amount of time in the industry, and I try not to feel old. So about 15, 20 years now with Magento, since before it was called Magento, purple logo, all those things people show off about, right? And I think primarily a lot about impact. When I was growing up, it was about how do you achieve something? How do you be different? How do you get out? How do you just become something, right? Something more than anything. And over the years, I just think about what impact have we made? So I'll give you a couple of examples. Back in 2010, I published this book. A whole generation learned to code Magento because of this book. And we sold 5 times what the publisher told me I would in my best ever estimate. 5 times that amount. And then on top of that, it was pirated 200 times more than that. Pirate Bay is not a genuinely good figure to base your stats off, but last I checked, it was over 1 million times, which is a very nice figure. Nice and 7. Still downloaded every single week. Every single week. So don't count Magento 1.3 out yet. It's making a comeback. It's making a comeback. It's still used. I also think about responsive web design. And I think about the time before it was called responsive web design, whilst people were still experimenting, making things. We created, a wonderful developer at JH, Shane Osborne, created browser sync. And now, every single day, hundreds of thousands of people use that for their responsive web design testing. It powers a hell of a lot of tools that nobody even knows this is involved with. 30 million downloads just this year. Tried to go back and get the stats. Is it 200 million, 150 million? I don't know. But again, impact. Impact is what I focus on. And when I think about working with Google, defining PWA standards, defining lighthouse scores, defining different tests, again, these are the things that ultimately people can claim 100 out of 100 because we made it a little bit harder in different areas, we made it easier in different areas, and so on, right? There's 50 more examples like that over 15, 20 years. It's what we do at JH. We try to do as best we can is make an impact, make those breakthroughs happen, and enable as many people as we can to do the thing that they want to achieve. We take the client pains and we change those outcomes. That's what we do as an agency. So community, giving, impact, everything else. The thing that I like the most is Meet Magento UK. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, maybe it's the feeling of today, maybe it's seeing most of you from the stage. But the 7th year of me standing on stage organizing it, 7th year of creating all of this, every single detail, and making it happen, it's kind of hard to not be a little bit emotional about it. We also see side events make a big impact too. So yesterday we had the Women in Ecom dinner. I think I count 21 in here. Accelerated the membership growth of the local chapters of Women in Ecom, Women in Magento. There's now over 100 people in that chapter. They can go, do more events, everything else, because that dinner happened yesterday. Also achieved a 2-foot growth height spurt for Rebecca on the right-hand side here. We also had the pre-party last night. 130, 140 of you attended last night. Can't see if you're blurry-eyed or not. I'll check when I'm down here. Not to mention 55 on that Comedy Horror Bus tour as well. Again, it's about building those relationships that last, letting you know people before you arrive today so that you don't have to go through everything alone. You can talk to people, get to know them, all the rest of it. If you like the spirit of that pre-party, it's worth me pointing out MX London, that JH and Emerson do every 2 months in London to gather together, have that same spirit, that same good time, everything else. It's on my radar that those 3 letters there are infinitely expandable into different cities, different countries, etc. So we'll see meetups in the Magento space change for the better, hopefully, because of what we're doing, what we're starting with this. I have to mention Magento Association. The Meet Magento trademark is the Magento Associations. They do such wonderful work as the guardians of the Magento brand, of the people that steward it, look after open source, look after Meet Magento events. I would encourage you to look at membership. I would encourage you to sign up. I'd encourage you to use that voice, push for better, push for things that you want to complain about, that you think could be done better. That's your avenue for doing it. Whatever the complaint might be, that association is where it should be. They are the people that should be doing it. They're the people that should be stewarding, etc. But equally, lots of places to contribute, lots of places to volunteer. Don't like the content? Go rewrite it. Go help, right? Importantly too, for some of you, every penny that's donated to the Magento Association, Adobe doubles it. You put in £100, Adobe puts in £100. So whether you like or dislike Adobe, and I like Adobe for the record, just for the record, they will give another £100 to this. It's how much they back Magento, it's how much they back open source, it's how much they back the association and the community. They can only back it if you're giving them money, right? So we've got to chip something in. Also, vitally, they have probably one of the most important set of elections they've had in the association coming up. Some nice nominations. My friend here, Eric, about to come on, is campaigning hard for that seat, very deserved seat, to add to the board. And I believe numerous people are trying to get me to do so as well. We'll see how loud your applause are in a minute, and I'll make a decision off that. Should we base it off that, maybe? Meet Magento is growing. As the chair of the events committee for Magento Association, our role has been empowering all these organizers, making them grow, helping them do the basics, contract speakers. We have Brazil here. We have all sorts of different events here today to come to the UK to learn those different things, but also just to share that knowledge, swap knowledge, everything else, right? My man there. Raise your hand so everyone can see I'm not lying. There you go. Just put it loud. There we go. Brazil. All the way here. So 20 Meet Magento events. We've got Egypt, Vietnam joining us, the return of Germany, Poland, Netherlands came back last year phenomenally well. So over 20 countries worldwide, Meet Magento UK is just one of them, the wonderful work we're doing there. On the open source front, Magento Association has given me the pleasure today of talking about a new website they launched this morning in partnership with MageOS. That is talking about a new official home for Magento open source on the web since magento.com went away. They have been battling really hard. A lot of credit to MageOS here and the association for doing so. Heck of a site, but it's also the very beginning, right? Again, don't like the content, find something missing, want some feedback. They love seeing that kind of thing. They want to know what should be next, what's the priority and everything else. The power in this room alone could absolutely make a huge impact on that website. Just to remind you all, Adobe's pushing all sorts of security updates and everything out for open source even to today. So just dispel the myth that Adobe doesn't support open source here, right? Now, let me get to the event. 750 people here today. 600 of you fit in this auditorium, which is why I keep checking that everyone's got seats. Not everybody turns up on time, and I was kind of banking on that, so that's working well. More tickets than we've ever sold before, more people registered ever before. I think we've gone viral 3 times on different social networks. It's been absolutely crazy. And usually what I would say is we are evenly split. 1 agency, tech partner, retailers, split 3 ways, right? This year, retailers are dominating that 750 number. Absolutely dominating it. So it's really nice to see you all here. Really nice to see you trust this community, this ecosystem with your presence today. I know that events are a jaded topic of sorts in the UK especially. It's a pleasure that you've chosen this one to come to. We've got 2 tracks. Our auditorium here is the business track. Upstairs in the Newgate suite is our technical track. You'll notice there's no Adobe today. No Adobe speakers, no Adobe keynotes. First time in 13 years that nobody from Adobe has stood on this stage during the keynote. There's 2 reasons for this. 2 reasons for this. 1, their name is not on that banner. That's reason number 1. I'll leave it there. 2 is that this year I wanted to try something new. I wanted to see, is it easy to take Adobe away and you guys still like this? If they're not on stage, is it still as powerful? Is it better? Do you like the content more? Do you miss it? My opinion, Adobe do a lot of phenomenal events. They do a lot of phenomenal updates on their roadmap, commerce, Edge, all the rest of it. You can find it for free anywhere else, so why would you pay to see it here? But again, tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong. Feedback, surveys, stand, desk, everywhere else. You can tell me if it was a mistake or not. There's a lot of great talks, regardless. It is a packed 2 tracks. I've personally picked every single one of these speakers, sourced them, some cases begged them, some cases flown them across continents to be here to make sure that every single time there is a talk, it is really freaking hard to pick which one. The aim of the business track is to inspire. The aim of the technical track is to inform. The technical track, we have a few development talks. The majority of them around, let me show you how I did this thing, right? Rather than educate you about, say, a development technique or something similar. I'll point out a couple of things here. So 35% of our lineup are within their first 3 talks ever. A lot of new speakers. We also have 2 speakers who debuted for the first time in a panel last year, now speaking on stage for the first time on stage ever. So again, impact, right? New speakers, new people on stage, especially because they want to come back after experiencing it last year, means a lot. We have our 2 track MCs back. You'll recognize them from previous years. They have not changed. We like consistency. We like people who are great, and these 2 are absolutely fantastic at doing it. So make sure they get a bit of a round of applause as well when they come on stage. So the best merchant talks, the best technical talks, we talk about the marketplace. The marketplace is the social hub for the event. If you've not already seen it, it's in the upper river rooms. Just follow the signs all the way through. It's a little bit of a walk, but it's worth it. So what's in it? Well, Akuva, headline sponsor 7 years in a row as a sponsor of Meet Magento UK. They are trying something out of the box that I think if you experience, I think you'll understand why. So they've partnered with the Magento Association, created a completely unique track with the Magento Association by Matthias and Jorg from the association. Neil's nodding at me, so I'm correct. And they're doing silent raves at their stand all day at those times. They're also doing a competition that if you take a photo at the stand, you tag it with Magento Open for Life. There'll be a random winner at the end of the week. You get some pretty great prize that I'm not allowed to talk about, but it is a pretty great prize. Am I right? Okay, I'm not allowed to talk about it. Good, right? Don't want to slip the tongue. In the marketplace, we have these wonderful brands here. You will not see Canvas Logic here. They're not in the marketplace, even though the logo is on the stand. I'll leave it there. Nothing negative, phenomenal company, just absolute disaster in terms of travel. It is what it is. It happens, right? But we'll see them again next year. Give them a bit of love. In terms of highlights of that marketplace, we have a barista all day on Fastly stands, about 7 different kinds of coffee, get custom made for you right in front of you, all the rest of it. Hypernode have a huge discount for new customers. These mystery boxes that I still don't know what's inside. Nobody will tell me, I don't know why. Sanasi are doing £500 in Amazon vouchers. Digital are doing a wheel merch giveaway. EconPay are doing a raffle. TrueLayer are doing a key to growth competition where you physically have a key and need to go find that treasure, which will be pretty interesting to see if it works. So pay them a visit, say hello, spend time with them. They ultimately pay money to go speak to you guys, right? But it's up to you whether you want to go there and all the rest of it. Of course, we have JH Swag. It's where we always are. The limited edition socks are back again. We also have a very small amount of previous socks, so for the collectors amongst us, and which there is a lot from the looks of my social media every time I mention socks. There are some old editions there in order to fill in the collection, fill any holes you might have, everything else. Pay attention to the red t-shirt, the white badge. If you need anybody around the venue from Team JH for any help, any questions of any kind, that's how you find us. If they're not wearing a red t-shirt, Exhibit A, you will see the badge. We also, because we saw the weather, saw it was going to rain last week apparently, we knew that we were bringing the heat. We knew it was going to be sunny. We have an ice cream machine upstairs all day, unlimited toppings, sauce, everything else. And we have a lovely place to sit down, enjoy the view whilst you eat it, and or talk to your friends about how great the conference is, hopefully, at the same time. Meet Magento swag is upstairs as well. It is a help yourself system all the way through. We don't force you to take it. We don't hand it to you and let you lug it round all day. It is here all the way through to the end of the day. So if you want to pick it up for the after party, you pick it up at lunch, you pick it up whenever suits you. Ultimately, from our experience, that's better than handing it you with your ticket and you leaving it behind in a chair halfway through the day and all the rest of it. Let's talk about taking care of yourself. We think you're great. We want you to keep it that way. So we have a lower river room, which is the floor below the marketplace. It's set out with a lot of tables, a lot of places to sit down. It's generally the quietest room in the building. It's generally quite nice to be in. People do take meetings, they'll take time there, they'll sit down with laptops, etc. It's usually quite a respectful place. This year, because of previous years, the food is being served in this room as much as the marketplace as well. So you have 2 choices of floor for that room, for that food. Hopefully that makes it even easier to get food this year. Don't worry, anybody who's a foodie, there is a lot of food today. Cookies, flapjacks, all the rest of it. JH have got you covered for the morning break. That happens after Eric's talk in a minute. We've got you covered for lunch too. Mage Store are coming in for the afternoon and sponsoring that one, just to make sure you have absolutely everything as much as you want. We have our Wi-Fi, but I'll flick through this because it's on every TV screen in the building if you need a reminder. I can see a photo being taken, so I'll wait 1 second. You got it? Make sure you use the hashtag. It helps us find you, helps you give a bit of a like. But equally, you've got to remember the golden rule. The hashtag, being at the conference, everything else, say it every year, cannot be a dickhead. Cannot be a dickhead. We have a nice code of conduct, we enforce it, we instruct it, we make sure that it's in place. The reason we do is because every time a retailer goes to another event, the BDM, the salesperson, the person who wants to prod them in the middle of the hallway ruins that experience. We want to control that, be a respectful environment for those people, make sure they have a good time, but also make sure that it's on their terms, not yours. You've got to remember that one, especially for the BDMs and sales amongst us, right? Next, I want you to be excellent to the speakers. There are speakers here, believe you me, that are petrified to be on this stage. It is not a comfortable experience for the mass majority of the world to stand on a stage. Might look easy, but it really is not. So what I want you to do is I want you to say it's your relative's graduation. You've been waiting for them to do it 9 years. You've flown across the country. You've bored it all up for that special moment that speaker finishes their talk and you can let it all out. I want you to go absolutely ballistic for every one of these speakers, put them at ease, that all their effort, their stress, their worry, everything else is out the window. They did a good job because of the way that you reacted. Your reaction tells them if it was worth it or not. Okay? What I would suggest, don't be afraid to approach speakers, especially if you're going to say something nice. Don't be afraid to say, can I have a selfie, can I ask advice, etc. That's nice contact, right? Just remind these people they have done a wonderful job because they are putting a lot of effort in to make sure that they've done that today. Quick reminder about the after party, you do need your badge to get in. It is the ticket. This is a policy that we've had to put in place mostly because founders of agencies who don't come to this conference end up trying to go to the after party without paying and all the rest. It's a very bizarre thing in our industry, but it's what we see. This is across all the TV screens, so don't worry. There's a whole bunch of reminders. The last question for me is, are we ready to get the day started? What do you say? So, I want to introduce our next speaker with my favorite picture of the two of us of all time. The people's eyebrow, as we have termed it. Eric and I go a long way back when PWA became a thing and we were talking through standards and how do we achieve this, how do we help PWA Studio be better, how do we inherit, say, JH's intellectual property across what Adobe was doing, how do we work with Google to get the marketing out there. Eric was one of those people that invited me onto a panel and just gave me a chance to be on stage. I'd never been on stage before. I was just a cocky guy on social media, I suppose. And in 2017, the year before we got the ability to stand on this stage, the keynote and everything else, I appeared in my very first panel of all time. It's my first time on stage in a panel because Eric invited me on. So I'm not exaggerating here when I said there would not be a Meet Magento UK without this guy. For that one time being on a panel, going from a panel to a keynote, wouldn't recommend it, but it worked out pretty well, so I'm not complaining.